Hey everyone, it's Kirk and Ben back here on the Sports Parenting Playbook. Ben, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Very good. It seems like it's been a while since we did an episode with just me and you.
No, isn't that exciting? Now, I'm going to say, when you listen to those podcasts, and it's really annoying, 'cause you have to go through those ads initially. Well, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to do one thing and say, if you really love the podcast, because it is good. Well, I'm not good, but Ben's good and all the guests are good. Then please, can you subscribe? Ben's going to explain how to do that in a moment, but also follow us on Instagram because we'd like to build a bit more of a community. So there's me on at Kirk Bowyer and there's Mini Athletics Ben. So that would be I'd be really grateful if you did. And it's also at Mini Athletics as well.
Yeah, I think we have worked tirelessly to get some amazing guests on this podcast, haven't we? We've had Will Greenwood, Jim Kilbasso. Thinking back, previous guests, we've had, who was your favourite guest? Are you allowed to say that? Who's your most interesting guest? Let's go down that line. We've had Ross Burberry right back in the start. We had Matt Taylor from Full Swing Tennis.
Yeah.
We've had so many good guests.
It's a good question. I think they've all been brilliant. The one that stands out most to me is probably Coach Ballgame. So James
Yeah,
Lowe.
James
Yeah,
Lowe.
he was very, very special. But they've all been amazing. Jim as well, fantastic. Yeah. But what I want to talk to you about today is confidence.
Oh, okay.
And confidence in sport. And my first question is confidence something you can teach or give to a child?
That is a very good question.
Should I explain where that question has come from first? That gives you a bit of a time to think about it.
Yeah, give me some time to think and give me your thoughts on it. Get a bit of context.
Okay, so mini athletics, we were very keen on building confidence in children, and we do that successfully across the UK and the US. How do we do that? I'm going to go into that later on. Okay, so the question is confidence something you can give to a child? Now, if we take a case study here, so for example, Richard Williams, so the dad of Serena and Venus Williams.
Yes.
Now, I don't know a huge amount about it, although I have come across Serena Williams when I was working as an S&C coach in tennis, and I've seen him be around the place at Wimbledon and stuff, and it's been quite interesting. But um, one thing I have read about him is what he did well was give his kids confidence. I don't think they played any kind of tournaments until quite late on. I might be wrong, but how he imparted confidence to his kids was one of the biggest things that he did for them. That's what I've heard.
It's interesting you say that they played or maybe played no tournaments until a certain age because thinking about it, I actually don't think that you give your kids confidence. I think that confidence is something you lose because my thought process in that is kids will be kids, right? So we see kids come into the mini athletics classes and majority of the time, the kids will come in, they'll see an empty hall with some bean bags and they'll run around. They might be a little bit shy, but I don't think that that necessarily is confidence. And we can touch on that in a minute. But I think generally speaking, kids will be kids and they'll be full of energy a lot of the time. And my thought is that if something goes well, so they're enjoying what they're doing, and we're talking about on this podcast a lot of the time, making sure that it's engaging for the kids and that they're enjoying what they're doing, that they will develop skills and they might be thriving in that environment. I think it's when, in my opinion, when there's a negative in experience that confidence gets lost. So that might be that competition's introduced too early and they're told, oh, you're rubbish, you're lost. Confidence drops. It might be that there's a negative parent on the sideline saying, oh, why didn't you pass the ball? Confidence drops. It might be that they're not enjoying, or there's a particular thing that's happened. Maybe they've, secretly had words with another child and you've not seen it and their confidence drops. So I think you can, it's a difficult one because I think you can build that confidence back up. So I guess you can build the confidence up. But I guess my view is that it's more, you're actually able as a parent or a coach, if you do something wrong, to affect the levels of confidence in a child adversely if you're not careful. And I believe it's much easier to make a child lose confidence. Do you see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I do. So I think this brings me on to my next point is overcoaching, in my opinion, can reduce a child's confidence. So this is
Agreed.
one thing we do in the athletics is that we don't do it, but we are very careful with that because play-based learning is so important to us. Allowing children to make their own decisions is super important to us, and to know that there are no consequences to those decisions if it results in, a mistake or failure or whatever. And I think it's the confidence to be able to make decisions and the confidence to not fear failure. And I think that's where you're absolutely right. I think that confidence may already be there. And it's sometimes is that through poor coaching methods, confidence will decrease. But at the same time, I really fully believe that through good coaching methods, confidence will increase because they'll get to learn to make their own decisions. And I'll give you another example. Actually, I was watching a kids' football, was one of my kids' football matches, and one of the kids had a free kick, and it was quite near the two coaches who were, and by the way, doing a great job, but giving a lot of instruction through the game. There was a huge amount of instruction. Okay. Almost to the point where the children were not being able to make decisions themselves. They were relying on the coaches to give them those prompts to make the decisions. Just before the free kick, he said he was looking around because he couldn't really work out where to put the ball because there was limited options. So he turned to the managers and said, "What should I do?" And in that moment, that kid did not have enough confidence to take that free kick and make the decisions they wanted to do. So I think overcoaching can reduce child's confidence.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you think it's different in different sports? So, as an example, where you've got a team sport, like for instance, football, using your exact example, where there's a child that's about to take a free kick and that they've got to make that decision. Do you think that that team sport and that example is potentially different in a children's sport, like, for instance, tennis, where it's back and forth, very reactive? I've never played tennis really. You saw me try and play tennis the other week. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, where it's team sports compared to solo sports?
Yeah, there is a huge difference, I think, because with a game like tennis is um, because it's a battle and you will win or you will lose, and it is a very much an, yeah, unless you're playing doubles, it's a very much an individual sport.
It's on you.
It's on you. And so I can kind of understand, and I've worked in tennis, I did work in tennis pre-mini athletics for quite a long time. I can understand why Richard Williams did not put Serena and Venus into competition very early, because it can strip confidence pretty quickly. Because if you're losing match after match
Mm.
after match,
Yeah.
it does. I mean, it does have an effect, obviously. But so yeah, and whereas a team sport is, even if you're losing, you can still, as an individual, be playing well. So yeah, I agree. There is a difference with the sports that we play. But yeah, what were your thoughts?
So the reason I ask is because obviously, like, we're talking confidence. Can you essentially give your kids confidence? And we've agreed that you can with good coaching and as parents by being supportive. we've agreed that you potentially can, by putting your kids in the wrong environment and introducing competition too early, you could reduce confidence if they keep getting bad results. And that's both in individual sports and team sports. The thing I want to look at, because you talk about mini athletics and how um, you and Claire created something that was looking at all these different things. And we know that we're not just looking at athletic skills, and we're not looking at, how good someone can run, jump and throw. Ideally we want them to develop at that. But there's lots of different things that are played into that. And your experience as a strength and conditioning coach and Claire's experience as a teacher and understanding early years development. When you looked at the program, where did you, or how did you come to the decision that it would be the littles age group, this is the 3.5 to 5s, that healthy competition would be introduced into those games? Because it's very important for the child's development, and certainly later on in the program at mini athletics. How did you decide that that's where it was going to come in?
That's a good question. I think that Claire so my wife was very much behind those kind of decisions. So it'd be great to actually get her on to the podcast and ask.
Can you leave and go and get Claire?
Yeah. Okay.
We're just going to take a break and we'll come back and we'll invite Claire to
No,
carry on.
because I would never, she'll never let that rest. She'll be like, well, I've got to do your podcast for you because you're not good enough to do that. Yeah. In answer to the question is, well, A, Claire's going to answer it. Let's get her on. B, I actually don't know if it was science backed. I think that it was a case of going, when we started the program, we made a lot of mistakes. We launched mini athletics in our local area, and we had to feel in terms of what was working, what wasn't working. When were the kids ready for this? When were they not ready for it? And we had to base it on mistakes that we made at that point. And sorry for everyone that came to the class during that 10 years ago, when classes may not have been that good. But in the long run, it was good because we got to test things like that to see when they were ready for competition and when they were not, when they understood it. And at that age, we felt that they did understand it. They started to understand teamwork. They understood that doing things for others resulted in a win for the team. And even at 3.5, we were identifying those behaviors, and we didn't really know that before we were starting. And then we could see how, I'm not sure the right terminology, but I think it's altruistic behavior, maybe, that where kids were copying other kids, and confidence it was almost contagious within the team, because they could see that, if another team member was doing something, they would copy that team member, and that team member initially was confident enough to perform that task. Another one would then replicate that behavior. So we were seeing that in that age group, whereas the previous age group, we were not seeing that. A lot of trial and error, but that was the main reason why. And that's one of the reasons why we say that mini athletics enhances confidence, because of that.
Yeah, and I think it's an important thing to note that, and I've got a really good example of this in a second, but it's really important to note that although in the mini athletics program, 3.5 to 5 littles age group is where teamwork and competition gets introduced, it is also very individual, because there's kids that are older than 5 and younger than 3.5 that handle competition and handle winning and losing a negative experience differently. I was in a school last week, or the week before, no, it would be the week before, and we did the team games, and this was to year 1 children. I was doing year 1 PE, and we did like the team games. And one of the little lads, he got really upset about the fact that his team didn't win. And there was 4 teams, so 1 in 4 chance, and his team didn't win, and he got really upset, like visibly tears. And I think in that moment, you feel bad, in the sense that this has led this child to feel like this. But it actually provides me with some of the best coaching moments that I get as a franchisee, because whether it be a public class and you've got the parent there watching, or whether it be in a school and you've got a teacher or a teaching assistant, or maybe you're on your own and you've got a child that is crying, it provides me with probably the greatest coaching moment, because I get to put my skills into use and have a conversation. And I had a conversation with this lad. Um, and I noticed at the start he was doing the Ronaldo Sue thing when he was like celebrating. So, do you know, like he jumps up and he does the arm thing? Exactly. And I said to him, he got upset, and I said, look, your team hasn't won. I get that. But I can see that you're doing a lot of Ronaldo stuff. And said to him, do you ever think that Ronaldo lost? Do you think Ronaldo lost games of football? Yeah, he lost all the time. And it goes through that. And it's kind of saying to them at that point, well, your biggest idol clearly is Cristiano Ronaldo, but look how he's developed from losing games of football or making a mistake on the football field. And I think that's the difference with good coaching and bad coaching. It's not the game itself necessarily. It's not whether you're playing tennis, doing athletics, playing football, rugby, or cricket, whatever. It's not the sport, because the sport's the sport and that's the rules and that's the competition. It's how you as a individual coach that child, whether you're the manager, the coach, or the parent. It's how you basically react to a situation where that child is visibly upset because it hasn't gone their way. And it's the result of what you do that is going to decide whether they lose confidence or not. And I think that's why, going back to the point right at the start, I feel it's probably easier in a roundabout way. I think it's easier, if this makes sense, it's easier to make a child lose confidence than it is to make them gain confidence,
Yeah.
because of how you react in a negative situation, or what was perceived as a negative situation. You've got to coach properly, use right language, put an arm around them. It's that Ross Burberry episode. Go back and listen to it, the car ride home.
Yeah, it's good.
It's that type of thing.
Because that's the other thing is does confidence, does confidence come from winning?
No.
No, it doesn't, does it? It comes from, for example, I got to bring it back to tennis again. I played a tennis match the other day, a doubles tennis match. We won, which is unusual for me, but we won the doubles match. But I played terribly. It was just lucky that the team opposite me was more terrible than what I was. Uh, but I left the court feeling less confident in my abilities than I did at the start of the match, even though I'd won, because the process and how I was striking the ball and all those kind of things, I just wasn't confident in my abilities to do that. And why? Because I just hadn't practiced. I hadn't been on the court for ages. I've been like in America working and doing all these other things. So I hadn't played. So confidence really for me comes from participation, practice, all of those things that I love. That's where the confidence comes from for me. And this leads me to my next question is, before we even look at confidence in performance at mini athletics, when we started, is that, you were getting, some kids will come to you for the very first time and they won't necessarily have the confidence to participate. And this is physical literacy, the confidence to participate. So that was one of the issues that we had at the very beginning when we started mini athletics 10 years ago. It's like, okay, a lot of kids do come and they've got confidence to participate and they love it. But there's some kids that come very tentatively through the door with their parent. They'll sit down. They're very, shy. Don't want to take part initially. So what do we do for those kids? And then it comes to environment. Initially, the environment. If you ever, I think you have been in a local pub, and well, you've never been in there before. It's a local village pub. Have you been in it? What? Yeah.
Many times.
Right. How do you feel when you go in?
You lack confidence, because I have lots of things go through my head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk into this pub, never been in before. Where's the bar? Is the bar where I need it to be, right in front of me, so I don't walk in and look around and then awkwardly catch eye contact with the guy that's been there for 50 years in the same seat, and
Yeah,
I don't know where the toilets are. Are they gonna take card, or is it gonna be cash only? Are they gonna have what I want to drink? See, there's many different scenarios, that play out as to why you might lose confidence.
exactly. I hate it. I don't drink either now, either at all. But if I went into a local pub, it would make me feel the same because everyone was looking at me. I feel very self conscious. I'd be like, oh god, okay, where do I go, and all that kind of stuff. So very similar situation to when a kid comes into a sports class for the very first time. Now I'm going to give something away here for mini athletics. Is I'm going to stand up. What we do,
If you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple
yes.
and you want to see what Kirk's about to do, because I have no idea,
So yeah,
go
kid
to
comes.
Instagram and YouTube because you can see this.
So kid comes through the door, right, at mini athletics. Now at this stage, we've got music playing because we know that music, and specifically types of music with the right beat, the right kind of tune, harmonies to it, and all that kind of stuff. We know that that makes people feel familiar. I mean, take Disney as an example. So we have our own music that we created. I didn't create it, but we had it done. So the music's playing, they're coming in. And the coach sees the child coming into the door, and immediately they're ignoring the adult and they're going straight down to their level. So he's going straight down to their level. I didn't need to get that low because I'm only 5'6" myself. So really, I'm their level anyway. So I don't really need to get down their level. So get down to their level and we'll welcome them. We already know their name. Okay. So with research, we know their name. We say, hi, Ben, welcome to Mini Athletics. And you're on the eye level, know their name. And that is, first of all, super confidence enhancing when they even come through the door, and it makes them feel welcome. And that sets the precedent for everything that follows. Whereas when we started going to classes pre mini athletics, well, I was ignored. The kid, the kid was ignored. My kid was ignored on several occasions when we went to these different classes for a while, and we were just asked, "Oh, you can just play around with the ball or something." Before we'll get started in a minute. No, like this is the good coaching at this level has to enhance their confidence right from the very start.
But this is the thing why, like, I'm massively proud as a franchisee,
And we're proud of you.
not only for being a franchisee of Mini Athletics and coaching kids, but of the amount of names of the kids in my program that I remember. And that is simply down to the fact that every time a child walks into that class, I give them a moment where the focus is at the right level, completely on them. It's like you get down at their level, you might take a shooting star beanbag over, you'll chat to them. I ignore the parent that's up there. I might say hello to them, but I speak to the child, and you pick up, like, they're wearing a bluey t-shirt. Oh, I like your bluey t-shirt. Can you get one in my size? That sort of thing, to give them that special feeling and bring the confidence out. And I don't push it. If they start hiding behind their parent's leg or something, I'm just going to leave this with you and you walk off. But you've given them that moment and the confidence does grow. And I think it's that thing that you said about walking into the pub. It's like you walk into the pub, if you get a really good welcome from the bar staff or the person that's on the door, they make you feel welcome. So nobody else in the pub matters. So you don't actually care if you're getting a dodgy look by the guy that's been sat in the corner for 50 years because you haven't seen him. Child walks into mini athletics, they get a good welcome from you. They don't see all the other children running around that have been there for months. So it eases them into it. It brings the point that
And then you're saying that the bartender, this might be quite good if you went to a local pub and they,
you get down and give you a shooting star.
yeah, get down to my level. It's like kneel down because I'm 5'6".
Imagine. I'm going to do that next time I see you, actually. I'm going to get down to your level and, why?
If he or she, the bartender, already knew my name as well. So I go into the local bar He comes to me and go, he decreases himself to my level. I go, "Hi, Kurt."
Who have you brought with you today?
Yeah. Yeah. Now remember, this is a sports podcast, not a pub podcast, so
Oh,
don't
totally.
use the same methods in the pub.
No, no. But it brings the discussion that it's different levels of, not different levels, it's different situations have different confidence requirements, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, so if you're doing something new, it's running through the scenario and assessing your own skills. Are you confident at walking into a new venue? Are you confident at communicating with strangers? Are you confident in your ability to do the thing that you're going there to do? If you're going to a team sport, are you confident in the people that you're playing with? Like, if we take it back to your scenario with the tennis, you said you played terribly. It was doubles. You won, right? But you played terribly.
Yeah.
So that must be down not only the other team not being as good on the day, but your doubles partner was obviously up to speed or
Yeah.
played well. So do
Yeah,
you have the
exactly. My
same
double
doubles
partner.
partner?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
So your
Yeah.
doubles partner, you've got confidence in your doubles partner. So
Mm.
it's not just confidence in your own ability, it's confidence in the person you're playing with. So
Team.
so did you walk away from that feeling confident, knowing that on a day where you may not be at your best, you can still go and be competitive because of your doubles partner?
My confidence is not dependent on him though, is that it was dependent on how well I can execute the shots that I wanted to execute, and
But that's the
because
point.
I
There's
hadn't
different
practiced.
levels of confidence. There's confidence in your skills
Yeah,
and confidence in
the
your
team.
your team.
Yeah.
So is it possible to have confidence levels in specific areas of the sport or the activity that you're doing?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, in answer to your question, I absolutely agree with you. I think from a parent's perspective is, what's the quickest way a parent can knock a child's confidence? Because I've got to be honest, I've probably done it because, you know, parents, we're not perfect and we don't say the right things all of the time. But with sport and confidence and certainly the confidence to participate, the confidence to play without the fear of making mistakes is something we really have to get to with all kids. So, what's the quickest way a parent can knock a child's confidence? And equally, what's the best way a parent can enhance or restore a child's confidence?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I want to give two answers for the first one because I don't know whether it's the quickest way, but I feel there's a lot to be said about it. So I think the quickest way to knock someone's confidence is to be a parent could knock a child's confidence, their child's confidence probably is by being overcritical of the action that is being taken.
Mm.
So, if there's a throw and they're supposed to throw it into a hoop and it goes out of the hoop, oh, you missed. Oh, and not giving that kind of encouragement. Oh, it doesn't matter. Go and get another one. Try again. But not feeling the urge to have to show them or do it for them. So I think it's not being overcritical. But I think in a way, I don't know whether equally, but I think another way is to not be engaged at all. We've all seen those parents that take their kids to an activity and they're more interested in their mobile phone or not doing what they want to do. I had an example when I took Amelia to Rock Up, like a indoor climbing place,
Yes.
and Amelia was climbing and she was doing all the really high ones, and she was like, there was 12 things that went round in different heights, and she started off by doing one and two, and she went, "Oh, Daddy, look, I've done one and two," and I was like, "Okay, well, let's do three. Let's see if we can do three." And eventually we got around to 12. By the time we'd finished, she was literally running round, getting up to this top thing, which was probably about 20, 30 foot in the air, jumping off, the harness was catching her, coming down and doing it again. There was a child that came in towards the end of the session, and she's a bit older than Amelia, who's 7. The dad sat there on his laptop working. The child was left to go and do what they wanted to do, but the dad wasn't interacting. And I think because he wasn't interacting and giving them, oh, well, Tim, amazing, really well done. You can go a little bit higher, or let's see if you can do this one or that one, or just cheering whatever they were doing. That child was kind of like not feeling very confident because dad's not interested. So I think it's being overcritical, even overcritical is one end of it and not being interested to the other end of it. But I think they're both just as damaging.
Yeah. And I think that's why we love to get parents involved at mini athletics because, and okay, so here's the other thing, right? Is that we'd love to get parents involved, but some of the tasks that we ask them to do, and obviously their games are all incorporating imagination and all that play based stuff, right? And it's really, really great. But we're very careful not to make the activity too easy. There will be a time within the session where the child does not succeed in the outcome. So whether that is throwing something over their head and the parent's got to catch it in something or whatever, right? That's not going to happen every time. And it may take them a while to obtain the outcome. The outcome may never come in that session. And that's okay, because if we made everything too easy, then I think that parents know that it's actually too easy, and confidence doesn't grow that way. Confidence grows when you've worked something out and you've worked the process out to achieve the outcome. And that is where the confidence comes from, in my opinion. And going back to parents and what we can do as parents to enhance the confidence is if you're playing with your kids, sport and stuff, don't make it too easy for them all the time. Don't let them win all the time, because that
That was going to be my question. I was going to ask you
that
that.
doesn't enhance confidence.
No.
Is them working it out on how to beat you or whatever, right? So there's that. And then the second thing is with feedback and confidence. Well, we all know, and when we listen to Ross Burberry's podcast with us and with the car ride home, when emotions are high for possibly you and the kid, and you really want to get something off your chest, you're like, how on earth did they not do this or do that, or put in enough effort, or didn't put in enough effort, or whatever, or didn't make the right decisions in certain times of the game, and how can they learn from that and stuff? And you really want to say as a parent, do you know what, you made the wrong decision here. Let's try not to do that again or whatever in the next game. That's not the time to do it. But what is a nice time to do it is later on, maybe a day or two later, take the ball out and maybe mention it there, but mention it with a positive, negative, positive sandwich and do it that way. So the feedback is more structured from a parent rather than emotional.
Yeah, I think it's a big skill to learn. I think it's a hard skill to learn. And I
Mm.
think the other thing is that you also have to be aware as a parent that you're going to make mistakes
God, yeah.
in the
Absolutely.
way in which you support your children, not just in sport, in anything. And I think it's kind of understanding that you do have room to make mistakes, but it's not repeatedly making those mistakes. And I think you develop those skills. You can seek advice. You can listen to the great episode of the podcast that we did with Ross, and you can listen to this episode and think, actually, next time I'm going to try that. But I think it's just being aware of the fact that you are, as a parent or as a coach, if you're listening to this as a coach, you're so responsible for the way in which children react, and you're responsible for shaping the way that they perceive a situation in a potential sport that they could go on to have a very happy career or life playing. But it only takes one, or repeatedly one, negative experience to prevent them from ever wanting to do that again.
Yeah.
So it is very, very important. And we did the Christmas shopping list episode where we talked about the football stats thing, whatever it was called, where
Yeah.
the football boot, the kids wear the football boot tracking device, and then it's all on the app. And that's a classic example of overcoaching, because you send the child into a football match or a training session, or God forbid, just even going and having a kick around in the park, and you go, oh, you didn't pass the ball enough, or you didn't do this. I don't even know what stats it tracks. Overcoaching at its finest, because yes, you're gamifying just a little bit of training, but you're putting a lot of pressure on kids, making sure that when the game's finished, it's doing what the game is. It's getting them warm, getting them dry, getting them in the car and getting them to McDonald's and buying them a milkshake if that's what they want, because they've participated and had a good time. It's just being very aware of, you are so responsible for building layers of what is needed for children to develop properly.
Perfect. Thank you, Ben. And like I said at the top of the episode is, please follow us on Instagram, Kurt Bowie or Mini Athletics Ben or Mini Athletics, 3 Instagram accounts, because we'd like to build a community. We'd like to hear what you think and your experiences of these different issues that we're raising. So thanks, Ben, as ever.
Thank you. Remember to hit the notification bell for the new episodes, which are going to be coming out fortnightly on a Friday. Head over to the YouTube channel and watch the videos, full length episodes, and Instagram for the shorter ones. And if you think that you've got any friends, family, or coaches in your team that would benefit from listening to the podcast, then share the episode with them, and then we might get some new listeners. But thank you very much. I'll
Thanks,
speak to you
Ben.
next time.
See you
Bye
later.
bye.